From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.
Good day, I am Win Peñano bringing you today's edition of Dateline Malacañang. Here are top Malacañang stories. President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. leads the inauguration of the Energy Museum and the celebration of the 25th anniversary of the Electric Power Industry Reform Act or EPIRA at the Department of Energy or DOE Energy Center in Bonifacio Global City, Taguig City. The Energy Museum is the country's first dedicated energy education facility designed to enhance public understanding of the Philippine energy sector through interactive exhibits highlighting the country's energy history, power system, and long-term energy goals. The event also marks the 25th anniversary of the Republic Act or RA number 9136, the Electric Power Industry Reform Act or EPIRA, which established the framework for restructuring the country's electric power industry to promote reliable, secure, and affordable and competitive electricity services. Let's now listen to the speech of President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. during the event.
Thank you, Secretary Sharon Garin, for your introduction. Please, please be seated. Chairperson Shirley Agrupis, the TESDA Director General Kiko Benitez, Palawan Second District Representative Pepito Alvarez, our partners from the private sector, fellow workers in government, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. At the inauguration of the Philippines' first interactive energy museum, we are opening a place dedicated to helping every Filipino understand better the vital role that energy plays in our daily lives. This occasion is especially meaningful because we celebrate at the same time the 25th anniversary of the passage of the EPIRA. These initiatives support my directive to the Department of Energy to strengthen public awareness and encourage responsible energy use. In line with this commitment, we have established the DOE Energy Museum. The space transforms complex energy concepts into engaging and accessible learning experiences for students, educators, and for communities. It is immersive and interactive, and it has featured exhibits on the country's diverse energy resources and technologies: solar, geothermal, wind, hydro, to natural gas, energy storage, and slowly, nuclear energy. Sa tulong nito, mas maunawaan ng bawat Pilipino kung paano nabubuo, naihahatid at nagagamit ang kuryente sa ating pang-araw-araw na buhay. Beyond awareness, this museum is an investment in our people. It stands as a bridge between the classroom and the control room, between curiosity and career. To every young Filipino that walks through these pods and sees an engineer, a geoscientist, a policy analyst reflected in these exhibits, I say, this could be you. This is the future of the Philippines that will be built by the students who will visit or stand in this museum. Equally important, the museum underscores the challenges of delivering affordable, reliable, sustainable power across our archipelagic nation. If the museum shows how electricity is generated and delivered, the EPIRA at 25 commemorative book explains how our energy sector came to what it is today. 25 years ago, the Philippine power sector faced a difficult reality: chronic power shortages, a heavily indebted state utility, and the absence of meaningful competition constrained our ability to meet the country's growing energy needs. The government's response was the EPIRA. This law restructured the power industry by opening power generation to private investment, establishing the WESM and creating the Energy Regulatory Commission. Today, the results are evident. Our generation capacity has more than doubled. Private investment has strengthened our power supply, and the competitive market established has helped create the conditions that support the growth of renewable energy. Sa kasalukuyan, 25% ng ating supply ng kuryente ay mula na sa renewable energy. Pinapalawak pa natin ito at ang ating layunin ay umabot ito sa 35% pagdating ng 2030 at 50% pagdating ng 2040. Binubulungan ko si Sec Sharon. Talaga ba na maabot ba natin yan? She seems very confident. And in my experience, Sec Sharon usually produces and she usually fulfills her promises. At the same time, we recognize that the electricity sector reform is an ongoing process. Significant gains have certainly been made. Critical challenges remain, such as high electricity rates, amongst others. And that is why we are working closely with our private partners and the government to advance the proposed amendments to EPIRA, particularly to support the ERC. During my last SONA the other day, I asked Congress to amend the EPIRA to remove the charging of system loss to consumers, including the corresponding VAT. It's only fair that Filipino families pay for what electricity they use, not for inefficiencies that really are beyond their control. In addition to ensure the country's overall energy security, we have intensified our energy efficiency and conservation measures. Here in government, we hope to lead by example in energy conservation. Last March, after the onset of the war in the Middle East, all government agencies proceeded to reduce their actual electricity and fuel consumption by 10 to 20%. Complementing this effort, we encourage every Filipino to take part in the Oras Natin sa Efficiency campaign. Help us conserve electricity, switch off non-essential lights, unplug unused appliances. Moving forward, may this milestone remind us that energy security is a shared responsibility. Let us continue to use our resources wisely, follow energy conservation measures, and support meaningful reform. Together, let us shape an energy sector that is reliable, sustainable, and worthy of the aspirations of our people. Maraming salamat at mabuhay kayong lahat. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. And now, may we request the President, together with Secretary Garin, to
You just heard President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. during the inauguration of the Energy Museum and the celebration of the 25th anniversary of the EPIRA at the Department of Energy or DOE Energy Center in Bonifacio Global City, Taguig City.
Dateline Malacañang.
In our news, President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has turned over more than 147 million pesos worth of medical equipment to the Davao de Oro Provincial Hospital in Monte Vista to strengthen healthcare services in the province. The President personally handed over the assistance during his visit to inspect the hospital, which sustained damage from the magnitude 7.8 earthquake that struck Mindanao in June.
Ang kasabihan nga yan sa English, an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure. Kaya mas maganda pag inuunahan natin. Kaya po, healthcare po ay napakalaking prioridad sa administrasyong ito.
President Marcos said the administration is focusing not only on treating illnesses but also on preventing them through immunization, nutrition, and early medical consultations. He added that improving access to quality health care remains one of the government's highest priorities.
Administrasyong ito, napakahalaga para sa amin na maganda ang pag-alaga sa mga nagkakasakit sa ating mga kababayan at hindi lamang sa mga nagkakasakit. Inuunahan po natin ngayon, hindi na natin inaantay na magkasakit.
The hospital serves patients from Davao de Oro and nearby municipalities and is expected to be upgraded to a Level 2 facility by 2027 to expand its services and accommodate more patients.
Dateline Malacañang.
President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has led the distribution of around 113 million pesos in financial assistance to 565 barangays in Davao de Oro, Davao del Norte, and Davao Occidental under the Socio-Civic Projects Fund. During the launch of the Bawat Bayan Makikinabang program in Nabunturan, Davao de Oro, the President said the initiative is designed to bring government assistance directly to communities and help local officials address their constituents' most urgent needs.
Ang pamahalaan ninyo ay nandito, hindi kayo nakakalimutan kahit kayo'y nasa malayong lugar. Ay nandito po kami, ginagawa po namin ang lahat.
Each barangay received 200,000 pesos with half allocated for the Bagong Pilipinas Presidential Scholars Program and the remaining amount for priority community development projects. President Marcos also urged scholars to make the most of the assistance by finishing their education.
Gamitin ninyo na mabuti itong pondong ito. Take advantage, pagsamantalaan ninyo na meron tayong pondo na maibigay at mag-aral kayo na mabuti.
The President also emphasized the importance of close coordination between the national and local governments to ensure public services reach communities effectively. He assured local officials that the national government remains committed to supporting their development programs.
Pag hindi magandang naging ugnayan sa local government at saka sa national government, ay hindi rin mararamdaman ng tao yung mga serbisyong yan, yung mga benepisyong yan.
Third President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has vowed to complete 42 additional buildings under a government housing project in Davao City by the end of next year. The President made the commitment during his visit to the People's Ville housing project in Calinan District, saying the development will provide more than 7,000 housing units once completed.
Mas malaki yung building at hindi ganito karami sa isang development. So we're looking just to see. Hindi pa tapos to. Ang idadagdag pa ilang building pa?
42.
Altogether, 42 buildings ito. So 7,000 plus ang unit na maitatayo pagka natapos na lahat ito. Lahat ito, yung buo nito matatapos by end next year. Di ba? Sakali, makasakali. Matatapos natin yan. By the end of next year, lahat ng 42 na buildings.
President Marcos said the project goes beyond building houses with plans to include schools and other essential services to create complete and sustainable communities.
Kasi ang ginagawa natin ngayon, hindi lang tayo gumagawa ng bahay, gumagawa tayo ng community na kumpleto na lahat. Dahil mahirap tirahan kung wala naman pupuntahan yung mga bata, walang malapit na palengke, hindi malapit sa trabaho. Yun ang mga titignan natin, hindi lang yung pagpatayo ng bahay.
The People's Ville project is part of the government's Pambansang Pabahay para sa Pilipino program or 4PH. The President also said the government will revisit Davao City's flood control master plan and provide funding for priority flood mitigation projects to help prevent future flooding.
Dateline Malacañang.
In our news, the Department of Human Settlements and Urban Development or DHSUD has pledged to sustain the gains of the expanded Pambansang Pabahay para sa Pilipino program or 4PH program following President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.'s recognition of the initiative in his State of the Nation Address or SONA. Housing Secretary Jose Ramon Aliling said the acknowledgement reflects the joint efforts of government agencies, local governments, the private sector, and communities in expanding access to affordable housing. From July 2022 to June 2026, the administration facilitated the delivery of more than 575,000 housing units, representing 51% of its recalibrated target of 1.13 million homes by the end of the president's term. The department said the total includes over 81,000 completed housing units, nearly 369,000 families assisted through housing financing programs, and more than 125,000 homes produced under the expanded 4PH program. Aliling said the DHSUD will continue working with its partner agencies to provide more Filipino families with safe, decent, and affordable homes.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Pag-ibig Fund said it continues to provide affordable housing financing options to help minimum wage earners and low-income families achieve home ownership under the expanded Pambansang Pabahay para sa Pilipino program or 4PH. The agency highlighted its subsidized 3% interest rate for socialized housing loans following President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.'s fifth State of the Nation Address or SONA, where he cited government efforts to improve access to housing. For middle-income borrowers, Pag-ibig Fund has raised its maximum housing loan amount to 10 million pesos. It is also offering promotional interest rates of 4.5% for loans above the socialized housing limit up to 4.9 million pesos and 5.75% for loans exceeding 4.9 million pesos until the end of the year. Housing Secretary Jose Ramon Aliling said the delivery of more than 575 housing units over the past 4 years shows the impact of the expanded 4PH program in providing Filipino families with safe and affordable homes. Pag-ibig Fund Chief Executive Officer Marilyn Acosta said the agency's continued support for housing programs is backed by its strong financial position and the trust of its members.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Department of Social Welfare and Development or DSWD says President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.'s fifth State of the Nation Address or SONA highlighted how the administration's social protection programs have benefited millions of Filipinos. The DSWD cited the Uplift Assistance Program, which has provided 5,000 pesos cash aid to 1.8 million public utility vehicle drivers and continues to support poor and low-income families affected by rising fuel costs. The agency also reported that more than 600,000 families affected by recent earthquakes received assistance backed by over 3 billion pesos in government aid. DSWD Secretary Rex Gatchalian also highlighted the expansion of the Buong Bansa Handa Disaster Response Program, which has prepositioned a record 4.9 million family food packs nationwide. The department likewise reaffirmed its commitment to child protection through Project Aruga for children with disabilities, additional Bahay Pag-asa facilities, and the upcoming Parent Effectiveness Services Program aimed at helping families raise and protect their children.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Department of Social Welfare and Development or DSWD is proposing a budget of around 270 billion pesos for 2027 to strengthen the country's social protection programs with major allocations for the Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino Program or 4PS and the Assistance to Individuals in Crisis Situations or AICS. DSWD Secretary Rex Gatchalian said about 100 billion pesos of the proposed budget will be allocated for 4Ps, which supports poor families through education, healthcare, and nutrition programs. Gatchalian said another 30 billion pesos to 60 billion pesos may be allotted for AICS, which provides immediate financial assistance to individuals and families facing emergencies, including those from middle-income households. The remaining budget will support other initiatives such as the Walang Gutom program, Pag-abot program, Project Aruga, and child protection efforts. Gatchalian also highlighted the rollout of parent effectiveness sessions to help families guide children amid challenges brought by the digital environment, including exposure to harmful online content. He added that the DSWD plans to establish 5 more regional residential facilities to improve rehabilitation services for children in conflict with the law. The agency said the proposed budget reflects its goal of expanding assistance programs while building long-term resilience among vulnerable Filipino families.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Marcos administration is committed to honoring all signed peace agreements with former rebel groups, according to the Office of the Presidential Advisor on Peace, Reconciliation, and Unity. Peace Advisor Secretary Mel Sanen Sarmiento said President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. in his State of the Nation address reaffirmed the government's commitment to fully implement its obligations under existing peace accords. Among the priorities are the formal completion of the peace process with the Cordillera Bodong Administration, Cordillera People's Liberation Army, and the successful conduct of the first parliamentary elections in the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao. The government is also continuing to implement peace agreements with the Moro National Liberation Front, the Moro Islamic Liberation Front, and the Kapatiran Group through reintegration, development, and normalization programs. Sarmiento said the administration remains focused on turning signed agreements into lasting peace by delivering concrete results and fulfilling government commitments.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Department of Agriculture or DA has provided 115 million pesos worth of agricultural assistance to farmers and fisher folk in Davao de Oro as part of the government's efforts to strengthen food security and modernize the agriculture sector. President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. and Agriculture Secretary Francisco Chu Laurel Jr. led the turnover of production support packages in the province following the President's 5th State of the Nation address. Chu Laurel said the assistance will benefit rice and corn farmers, irrigators, associations, registered fisher folk, and other agricultural workers listed in the registry system for basic sectors in agriculture. The aid package includes a rice combine harvester, a 4-wheel tractor, 4 motorized fishing boats, 15,000 tilapia fingerlings, certified rice seeds, hybrid rice seeds, fertilizers, corn production inputs, and vegetable farming materials. The agriculture chief said the initiative supports the administration's goal of reducing production costs, improving farm productivity, and increasing the income of farmers and fisherfolk.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Department of Agrarian Reform or DAR has reaffirmed its commitment to complete the distribution of land titles and expand support services for agrarian reform beneficiaries following President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.'s 5th State of the Nation address. Agrarian Reform Secretary Conrado Estrella III said the agency will accelerate land title distribution, fully implement the new Agrarian Emancipation Act, and strengthen programs that help farmers improve their livelihoods. In his address, the President said the government has distributed more than 400,000 land titles covering over 500,000 hectares during the past 4 years and aims to complete the distribution of land titles to qualified beneficiaries by next year. President Marcos also said the government will continue implementing the new Agrarian Emancipation Act, which condones unpaid land amortization, interest, and surcharges for qualified farmer beneficiaries. The president also assured farmers of continued government support through irrigation, farm-to-market roads, farm machinery, and credit assistance to boost productivity and increase incomes.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Philippine Coast Guard or PCG has vowed to continue protecting the country's interests in the West Philippine Sea after President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. recognized the agency's efforts in his fifth State of the Nation Address or SONA. PCG Commandant Admiral Ronnie Hill Gavan said the President's acknowledgement honors the dedication of Coast Guard personnel and strengthens their commitment to protecting Filipino lives and safeguarding the country's maritime rights. Gavan said the Coast Guard will continue carrying out its mission with professionalism and in accordance with international law while advancing initiatives such as the I Care campaign and the One at Sea strategy. Meanwhile, PCG spokesperson for the West Philippine Sea, Rear Admiral J. Tariela, welcomed the President's strong stand on the country's maritime rights, calling it the highlight of this year's SONA. The Coast Guard recently completed fuel resupply missions for Filipino fishermen at Bajo de Masinloc despite harassment by the China Coast Guard and successfully evacuated two injured armed forces personnel from Ayungin Shoal during a humanitarian medical mission.
Dateline Malacañang.
Meanwhile, the Armed Forces of the Philippines or AFP has reaffirmed its commitment to defend the country's sovereignty following President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.'s remarks on the West Philippine Sea during his fifth State of the Nation address. AFP spokesperson Colonel Francel Margaret Padilla said the military stands ready to carry out the President's directives with courage, honor, and commitment to the Constitution. Padilla welcomed the President's firm message marking the 10th anniversary of the 2016 Arbitral Award and his assurance that the Philippines will not yield to intimidation. She also noted the President's recognition of the armed forces, the Philippine Coast Guard, and Filipino fisher folk for their continued presence and sacrifices in the West Philippine Sea. The AFP said it will continue to protect the country's sovereignty, support Filipino fishermen, and work with international partners to promote peace, stability, and a rules-based international order.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Armed Forces of the Philippines or AFP has monitored 26 Chinese naval and Coast Guard vessels in 4 key areas of the West Philippine Sea from July 21 to 26. AFP spokesperson for the West Philippine Sea, Rear Admiral Roy Vincent Trinidad said the vessels were sighted near Ayungin Shoal, Bajo de Masinloc, Escoda Shoal, and the Pag-asa Islands. The monitoring recorded 9 vessels near Ayungin Shoal, including 7 China Coast Guard ships and 2 People's Liberation Army Navy vessels. 13 China Coast Guard ships were also monitored near Bajo de Masinloc, while 3 other Chinese vessels were spotted near Escoda Shoal and Pag-asa Islands. The figure is slightly higher than the 24 Chinese vessels monitored during the previous reporting period from July 7 to 13. The AFP said continuous maritime monitoring remains vital to protecting the country's sovereignty, strengthening maritime domain awareness, and promoting safety and stability in the West Philippine Sea.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Department of Environment and Natural Resources or DENR is pushing to declare ecologically important areas in the Kalayaan Island Group as marine protected areas following nearly a decade of scientific research in the West Philippine Sea. The DNR says years of marine studies have identified key habitats that remain vital to biodiversity, fisheries, and food security despite growing environmental threats. Environment Secretary Juan Miguel Cuna says protecting these areas will strengthen conservation efforts through scientific monitoring and sustainable management. Research by Filipino scientists documented 49 previously unrecorded fish species, rare corals, and new seagrass beds, while also highlighting environmental degradation, including the rapid erosion of Pag-asa Island. The DNR also announced plans to establish 9 marine scientific research stations, including one on Pag-asa Island, to support biodiversity monitoring and guide future conservation efforts in the West Philippine Sea.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Department of Environment and Natural Resources, or DNR, has launched a children's e-book series to help young Filipinos learn about the West Philippine Sea and the importance of protecting its rich marine biodiversity. Titled The Wonderful West Philippine Sea, the 3-part e-book series introduces children to marine life and environmental conservation through stories and colorful illustrations. The first book follows Pawi, the sea turtle, as it explores mangroves, coral reefs, and seagrass beds while teaching readers about threats such as pollution, overfishing, and habitat loss. Environment Secretary Juan Miguel Cuna says the project aims to inspire children to value and protect the country's marine resources and understand the importance of the West Philippine Sea. The ebooks will be available for free on the DNR website, with printed copies to be distributed to coastal schools, barangays, and partner organizations.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources, or BIFAR, is promoting the culture of samaral, or rabbit fish, as part of efforts to expand the country's aquaculture industry and create more livelihood opportunities for fisherfolk. The BIFAR says samaral, also known as danggit, kitong, malaga, and padas, has a strong potential because it can be raised in brackish water ponds and existing aquaculture facilities. BIFAR Director Elizer Salilig says increasing samaral production will not only improve fish supply but also open opportunities for value-added products such as dried, smoked, marinated, and ready-to-cook fish. Data from the Philippine Statistics Authority show cultured samaral production reached 361.57 metric tons in 2025, more than double the 153.89 metric tons recorded in 2021. The BIFAR says it will continue supporting fisherfolk with technology and market access to further develop the industry.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Department of Agriculture, or DA, has allocated 35 million pesos to help contain the spread of the red-striped soft-scale insect, which has affected nearly 94,000 hectares of sugarcane farms nationwide. Agriculture Secretary Francisco Chu Laurel Jr. says the funding will support drone and chemical spraying operations led by the Sugar Regulatory Administration, particularly in Negros Island and Western Visayas. The government also plans to provide 10,000 pesos in cash assistance to each validated affected sugar farmer in coordination with the Department of Social Welfare and Development. More than 12,300 farmers have already been validated, while additional funds are being sought to expand the aid. The DA says it is also developing biological control measures to help protect the sugar industry and the livelihoods of thousands of farmers.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Cybercrime Investigation and Coordinating Center or CICC has flagged 9 social media accounts and pages allegedly linked to hacker groups during heightened cyber monitoring ahead of President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.'s 5th State of the Nation address. The CICC says its Threat Monitoring Center identified the accounts through open source intelligence while scanning for potential cyber threats. CICC Undersecretary Renato Paraiso clarified that the flagged accounts were not directly linked to President Sona but were discovered during expanded cybersecurity operations for the event. The agency says accounts confirmed to be involved in hacking-related activities will be endorsed to Meta for possible removal in accordance with existing laws and platform policies. The CICC adds it will continue strengthening cyber monitoring during major national events to help protect government systems and critical infrastructure.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Philippine National Police or PNP has ordered intensified operations against oil pilferage following the seizure of more than 16.29 million pesos worth of petroleum products, LPG, vehicles, and equipment in Lucena City, Quezon. PNP Chief General Jose Melencio Nartates Jr. directed all police regional offices to strengthen intelligence gathering and enforcement efforts against illegal fuel transfer, oil pilferage, and unauthorized LPG refilling activities. The directive came after police arrested 13 suspects allegedly involved in transferring petroleum products and LPG inside a compound in Barangay Silangang Mayaw, Lucena City. Authorities recovered tanker trucks, delivery vehicles, and thousands of liters of diesel, LPG cylinders, and equipment allegedly used in the illegal operation. The PNP says the suspects will face charges under the Oil Pilferage Law and the LPG Industry Regulation Act. Nartates said the police will continue targeting not only those directly involved, but also individuals financing and organizing illegal fuel activities.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine National Police or PNP Chief General Jose Melencio Nartates Jr. thanked the public after being recognized as among the country's most trusted heads of government agencies in the latest Boses ng Bayan survey. Nartates received an 85.4% index of governance rating, which he said reflects public confidence in the PNP's peace and order initiatives and reforms. The PNP chief attributed the recognition to the dedication of police personnel nationwide, as well as ongoing efforts to improve operations and strengthen public safety. Since assuming the post, Nartates has implemented strategic reforms, including the enhanced managing police operations, which focuses on improving personnel deployment and police management. Meanwhile, Nartates ordered a deeper investigation into the explosion near the Department of Justice and the discovery of an improvised explosive device near the Senate, both reported hours before President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.'s State of the Nation address. He said authorities are working to identify those behind the incidents and determine possible links to an attempt to disrupt the SONA. The PNP also reported that 12 minors among the 51 individuals arrested during SONA-related protests have been released, while the remaining individuals are facing possible charges.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency or PDEA says authorities have seized more than 122 billion pesos worth of illegal drugs and arrested over 206,000 individuals during the first 4 years of the Marcos administration's anti-drug campaign. PDEA Director General Isagani Neres says the campaign focused on dismantling drug networks, strengthening communities, and enforcing the law while respecting human rights. From July 2022 2022 to June 2026, PDEA and other law enforcement agencies conducted more than 155,000 anti-drug operations nationwide, resulting in the arrests of more than 206,500 drug personalities, including nearly 13,000 high-value targets. Authorities also dismantled 13 clandestine drug laboratories and more than 1,900 drug dens, seizing over 16 metric tons of shabu, hundreds of kilograms of cocaine, thousands of ecstasy tablets, and large quantities of marijuana. PDEA also reported that more than 30,000 barangays have been declared drug-cleared, with thousands of individuals receiving treatment, rehabilitation, and community intervention programs. The agency says it will continue intelligence-driven operations against organized drug groups while expanding prevention and rehabilitation efforts.
Dateline Malacañang.
And that concludes today's edition of Dateline Malacañang. For Radyo Pilipinas World Service, I am Win Peñano. Good day.
From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.